Wow, Trump knows how to pick the singers. You got to give him a hand on that one. Began with the New York Post headline, "Welcome back," is what Biden said to President Trump as he made it to the West Wing in the Oval Office. And the day ended with "God bless America." Thank you, everyone. DVR the show. Now here's America Reports.
We got to preserve the tax cuts to preserve our economy. We got to secure our border. We got to confirm judges as quickly as possible.
We'll be real supportive, and hopefully we can really get a lot done, especially in the first 2 years. We've got to get it done now.
We've got a lot on our plate, but we know the direction we're going to go because the president campaigned on it, but also because I think that's what the American people responded to when they went to the ballot box.
President Trump was always engaged with members of Congress on the phone, calling, coming over, getting a chance to be able to talk back and forth, coming to the Capitol. We went to the White House. So there was a lot of interaction to be able to move legislation.
The Trump transition well underway, which includes new majorities in the House and Senate, giving the GOP control of both chambers and the presidency. Well, if that was a recipe for getting things done, there you go. I'm John Roberts. Good to see you today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, John. I'm Jillian Turner in for Sandra Smith. This is America Reports. So Republicans have now picked up 2 more House seats. They have reached the magic number needed for the majority in the new Congress. They plan to move real quick to start implementing the president-elect's agenda as soon as he takes office come day one.
We are going to talk to the incoming Senate Majority Whip, John Barrasso, about what's in store in just a couple of minutes. But first, Democrats are laying out a last-ditch wish list for President Biden.
Hillary Vaughn's live on Capitol Hill this afternoon for us. Hey, Hillary.
Hi, Jillian. Well, it's not over until it's over, and House Democrats are hoping to squeeze every last minute out of President Biden's presidency that they can. They want him to start using his pen to push through executive orders on their wish list, everything from sparing as many illegal immigrants from mass deportation as possible to protecting entire agencies that they think would go away under President-elect Trump.
I think there's a lot that we can do around folks who have been here in our country and need pathway to citizenship. So love to see that.
We're still figuring out what EO agenda we want to pursue and ask the president for. I think there's some things that need to happen on immigration, yeah.
One of the things that I'm most worried about is some of the promises to decimate, for example, like the Department of Education. I think anything the president can do to shore up the civil service that make up the federal government, I think is really important.
Democrats also chimed in on how some of their supporters have been reacting to this devastating election loss. Some Democrats are having a hard time coping with the election loss. Some of them are uninviting their family over for Thanksgiving. Some are divorcing their husbands, even shaving their heads. Is this rational behavior?
I would have nowhere to eat if I uninvited Republicans for Thanksgiving. Look, it's tough to lose an election, but the country goes on.
I think as human beings, we all have reactions to certain things. When things are unfortunate, we all overreact.
So it seems that some Democrats in Congress are brushing off this loss a little bit better than some of their supporters. At least they're not willing to give up their Thanksgiving turkey over it. Jillian?
All right, Hillary Vaughn on Capitol Hill for us. Thank you.
George
John?
Bush liked to say, gobble, gobble. Republicans cementing their grip on power in Washington by holding on to the House. So what will the first order of business be for a united GOP? Let's bring in the Republican Wyoming Senator John Barrasso. He is the new Senate Majority Whip-elect. Congratulations.
Thank you. Great to be with you.
I guess it all becomes official on January the 3rd. So holding the presidency, the House, and the Senate, President Trump, when he gets in office, is going to expect that a lot is going to get done. Is the Senate going to serve as a rubber stamp for the president, or will there be thoughtful consideration of everything that he tries to put through?
Well, I think what the president is trying to put through represents an American agenda brought forth by the voters, and they told us what they want. They want secure borders. They want lower prices. They want to make sure the economy kicks into gear. They want to make sure that we have more American energy. They want to restore our strength on the world stage. Those are the things that the Americans want, the things the House wants, the Senate wants, and it's everything that President Trump talked about during the election. That is the reason that we won. We've been meeting today. I just came from a meeting of all the Republicans who will take over as the chairman of the committees in the United States Senate. The leadership team met earlier today, all focused on things that President Trump can do immediately in terms of restoring control at the border, like get back to enforcing the law and bringing back things like Remain in Mexico. We know those things worked. What he can do immediately to take the handcuffs off of American energy so we can produce American energy here. And then, of course, making sure he has his team in place quickly. A cabinet of people that he will surround himself with. No surprise he's making bold decisions, bold appointments, and he's doing it much more rapidly this time and more thoughtfully, I think, than what happened when he won in 2016, because he's been thinking about this all along.
And he has the first term to sort of learn from his experiences, something he's spoken about. He wishes that he had made some different key decisions from the outset. Were you surprised, Senator? I don't know if I would say I'm surprised, but I noted this week that when he's laying out the top tier cabinet post, he's decided first to go with a sort of national security bent, looking at his national security advisor, Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense nominations, as opposed to more of an economic focus, Treasury, Commerce. I assume they'll be coming in the forthcoming days. But it was interesting to me to see that that was what he prioritized.
It was, and we're going to hate to lose Marco Rubio in the United States Senate, but he is just the right person to be Secretary of State. He knows the issues. He's going to project the same kind of a strength around the world that President Trump has been projecting, and it's such opposite of what we've seen under the Biden administration, which was a position of weakness, which invited those to come in and be aggressive toward us. So I think that was a great choice, and we're going to make sure, and as we were talking today at our leadership meeting, we take over, as you said, January 3rd. The president doesn't come in until January 20th. We want to start holding hearings on those nominees early so that by January 20th, we can get ready that day to vote and get as many cabinet positions filled day number one, so the president has his team around him as quickly as possible, because time is of the essence. The president really does feel the clock ticking already, because he says, I only have 4 years. We have a lot of what we need to get done if we want to get America back on track. And that's what the American people demanded with this election outcome.
So a big part of the conversation in the last 24 hours has been the nomination of Matt Gaetz to be Attorney General. Will he get confirmed?
But he'll certainly have a fair hearing, and people will have a chance to vote. What I want to do, and I specifically with this, and you would expect the president to make bold decisions and appointments. Look what happened to the president over the last 4 years. We have seen the Justice Department in this administration weaponized, politicized. They've dragged President Trump through the court repeatedly. Nobody should be above the law, but nobody should be the target of the law. And what we've had is President Trump being the target of the law. So when he talks about draining the swamp, it's not just all of Washington, specific the Department of Justice. So this is no surprise that the president has made a bold announcement and decision there. But everyone that he has nominated so far, better than the people that are in there right now.
A warning from your friend and colleague, Senator Chuck Schumer. Take a listen to what he had to say yesterday. I'm curious what your response is.
To my Republican colleagues, I offer a word of caution in good faith. Take care not to misread the will of the people, and do not abandon the need for bipartisanship. After winning an election, the temptation may be to go to the extreme. We've seen that happen over the decades, and it's consistently backfired on the party in power.
What do you make of those words?
Well, the will of the people is fairly well known to people all across the country who looked at the results on election night. We want to get the country back on track. Under the past administration, at the end of that, only 1 in 4 Americans say the country's heading in the right direction. This was an election of, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Overwhelmingly, the American people said no. So what we've seen with this election, to whatever Chuck Schumer wants to believe, is fine with him. But what I know is that the Republican Party has changed, it's expanded. Hardworking American families, young people, minorities, all of these folks who have been just struggling to get by. I think we are unified in trying to say we need to get the country back on track. And the story that you just played prior to that, what the Democrats are trying to force through in the final days before the next Congress takes over, illegal immigrants becoming citizens, all of these sorts of things. They're trying to hijack the election, hijack the process with these midnight regulations and rules. And I think it's wrong to try to do that. We ought to let the new governing majority take on in the House and the Senate and the White House and get this American agenda right on the move to success.
Schumer's statement about don't misread the will of the American people is sort of ironic, given the fact that so many Democrats believe that that's exactly what the Harris campaign did.
Well, they weren't listening to the American people. They were so focused on Donald Trump, they didn't listen to the people that are saying, we want to shut the border, we want to secure the border, we want to unleash American energy, we got to get prices down.
Senator, we'll let you get back to work. We know there's a lot to get done.
Thanks.
Appreciate you coming in.
Good to see you guys.
Thank you for taking time with us.
Yes.
We appreciate it. So President Biden's traveling soon to South America for the APEC summit. The attention of world leaders is firmly fixed on the incoming Trump administration. Jackie Heinrich joins us from the White House. Hi, Jackie.
Hey, Jillian. President Biden is on his way to South America for the first of two back-to-back summits, where he will try to cement his legacy by ensuring the foreign policy priorities that he put in place remain when he's gone. But he is a lame duck, and the incoming president is already making calls of his own. According to Bloomberg, Trump gave his cell phone number to the Indonesian leader in a call this week and said, call anytime you want. Trump is still a bit haunted by career government officials leaking transcripts of his calls during his first term. So reportedly, he is flouting procedure and calling folks directly. He has already had a call with Chinese President Xi Jinping, who Biden is set to meet with on Saturday. The White House would not share details about what Trump and Biden discussed when they were face-to-face at the White House yesterday, but we can gather that China was part of the list.
I think for us to succeed in the long-term competition with the PRC, it will require a bipartisan foundation. When it comes to investing in our alliances, the sources of strength at home, the protections of our advanced technologies, these are things we're going to advocate continue because we think that they are not political issues, they're American issues that can serve all of the people of this country.
The Chinese Foreign Ministry said after Xi's call with Trump, quote, hope the two sides will work in the principles of mutual respect, peaceful coexistence, and win-win cooperation to find the right way for China and the U.S. to get along with each other in the new era to the benefit of the two countries and the world. Those words, new era, might hold a little bit of weight for the outgoing administration as President Biden is trying to make sure that what he has done as president sort of stays in place during his trip abroad. We are, though, hearing from sources that a bigger concern and a bigger objective for his travel might be Ukraine. There is worry that continued U.S. support might be a question mark under this new administration. So a big focus that he will have is on the sidelines, talking to European allies and partners to sustain that fight and also position Ukraine for the best negotiation possible if it comes to that, Jillian.
If they actually sit down at the table at some point. Jackie Heinrich from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue for us. Thank you. John?
Thanks.
Jillian, nonprofits that tried to stop President-elect Trump's first term in office are looking for supporters to fund round two of the resistance. But guess what? They're having a tough time getting donors to foot the bill. Charles Payne up next on whether it would make a difference anyways. Plus this.
What we want to really lean into here is making sure that states are equipped to protect our Constitution and protect our democracy.
We also want to make sure that there isn't a violation of people's rights with, raids, for example.
Two Democratic governors kickstarting a playbook now to counter Trump's agenda, how it lines up with the message that voters sent last week. More on that coming up.